Another week has passed in this crazy real estate world. What's your week been like, John?
Another week. Oh man. Yeah. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I was telling you, I just long weekend driving to Western Pennsylvania for basketball camp for my son, and 500 miles there, 500 miles back. Did that in 2 days.
Wow.
Crazy. Got back last night about 12:30. Just absolutely beat. Driving. Observing the speed limit almost none of the time. And what are you gonna do? Everyone's trying to get home. It's 80 miles an hour flying down the road. I think we saw a total of 3 cops the whole time driving 1,000 miles.
And were they going faster than you?
Good question. I think twice they had pulled some people over. It was on the other side of the road, so we were all right. So anyway,
it's not like 94 in Wisconsin then, huh?
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, definitely got to be careful going Minneapolis to Madison. I always have to remind people, if that's the first time they're going, it's like, do not speed. You will be pulled over.
Nothing but quick trips and troopers.
Absolute guarantee. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so
another dull week in the world, right? Another uneventful, insane week again.
It keeps on coming. Where do you want to start on this topic?
Well, how about we have a little fun, since we're both real estate agents, and neither of us do a lot of business anymore, but we're still agents, still realtors. It's kind of fun to see what's going on with the changes. I was talking to some friends, and I think your market's maybe a little different than what we're experiencing. There's still some hiccups here, and I think it's slowing transactions down. But I happened to find this funny clip from Anthony LaMacchia that I think you have now, if you want to run that little short that he did. So
all right, let's hit play here.
Speaks to this well. I don't hear any audio.
You don't hear it?
Nope.
All right. View tab and StreamYard. Is it playing now?
It's playing, but no audio. Were you hearing it when I played it earlier?
Yep.
Let me see if I can. How about if? Oh, hang on. Go ahead. Play it again. Nope. Still no audio.
All right. Let's try it on your end here.
Let me try to share the screen. Let's go. Let me know if you can. Can you hear it?
Every single one of you have made it harder on buyers, have made it harder on veterans. Okay.
Let's start over.
You don't have.
You can't hear it, though?
I can hear it. So, yeah, you just got to start over.
Right, hang on. How do I start it over?
Scroll up. Bunch of old guys trying to run YouTube. This is crazy.
Good Lord. Exactly. All right.
We'll be back after these technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Hang on. I now lost it. Let me stop that screen, see if I can find LaMacchia again. But you could hear it okay?
Yeah, it was fine.
All right. Where the heck is LaMacchia? See, the problem is I have too many.
Are you hearing it?
No, hang on. I'm going to see if I can share that now. Go back over here. All right. Now let's see if I can just stop that. Don't start it yet. All right. Now we're going to try it. Ready, set. You see it?
Yep.
All right. Let's see if it works. There we go.
You, Stephen Brobeck. You, Doug Miller. You, Michael Ketchmark. You, Wendy Gilch. You, the Department of Justice. Every single one of you have made it harder on buyers, have made it harder on veterans. Okay. People that don't have generational home ownership, people of color. You've made it harder. Okay, there's certain groups that statistically it's a harder time for them to buy, and you all have made it harder. But you run out there and you opine and you act like you're making it easier. And I've been asked by realtors, Well, Anthony, what happens if we write it this way and that way, and then we get in a multiple offer situation? Yep, your buyer's going to be in a disadvantage now thanks to the new way. What can we do? What can we do? We do the best we can. You, Stephen Brobeck. You, Doug Miller. You, Michael Ketch.
That's awesome.
All right, we'll stop that. Stop my share. Yeah, funny. Well said by Lamacchia, huh?
Yeah. So I've had a few people reach out to me and say, oh, you know, he's thinking about selling, and you kind of nailed it, right? He's kind of in that professional class, making good money, sitting probably on $1 million house.
Yeah.
But probably paycheck to paycheck, I'm guessing, or that what is that? The 200 income that's they're taxed really high, and they're leveraged up, and so he's asking about it to sell. And what are the commissions now? It's like, well, they haven't really changed.
It's close to free, I think, right? It's close to free now. It's close to
He's thinking about selling. He thinks he's going to save all this money. I said, well, technically the commissions have gone down because half of it's now called a concession.
And so what do you say? Oh, the commissions are the same. I'm not going to sell.
He was a little shocked, and he was just kind of surprised. He thought, oh yeah, the realtors are going to be, all of a sudden negotiating and giving it up for free.
Right.
And people think that there's that much margin in it. No.
Right.
There's just not that much margin in it.
Right. I mean, if the consumer wants to make phone calls and go through 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 agents to try to find somebody that's going to do it at a price maybe that consumer is willing to pay for it, go for it.
Yeah.
You might be able to find them. They might be out there. I haven't seen too much of it yet. No. So who knows?
Yeah. Have you been hearing anything out there as far as what agents are running into?
No, not too much. I think that there haven't been as many open houses as I thought we were going to see. I don't know about if you've seen that or not.
I'm seeing a lot of open houses here.
Okay. So you're seeing more open houses? I haven't checked my app because, I was driving all last night. So I spent the afternoon sleeping, trying to catch up so I didn't look at my phone to see what the apps were for open houses. But yeah, we think that's going to come back in a big way. Right.
And the market is shifting, part seasonality, part the high rates. It's kind of, coming into the election. Yeah. So we're kind of teetering on a buyer's market, even though our inventory isn't there, it feels like a buyer's market.
Right.
So, it's probably not a time for sellers to be dropping a buyer concession, not a commission, a concession to their agent.
Yeah.
Trying to entice people to, if they make it more difficult for the buyer, that doesn't help their cause out. So
right, exactly. And there's a lot of talk. We can chat a little bit about interest rates. A lot of talk about interest rates coming down, and they have gotten a little bit better. Certainly, and the Fed is meeting in 10 days, I guess, September 17th and 18th.
Sounds right.
To discuss lowering interest rates, and the debate is, are they going to lower it by 25 basis points or 50 basis points, basically a quarter or a half. But, if you're sitting around thinking, hey, I'm going to wait to see what happens on that, the market's already adjusted for that. The market's already taken rates down. You can just look at the bond market. Interest rates have already come down ahead of that. A lot of times what we see when the Fed makes these kinds of announcements, the interest rates might actually go up a little bit. They just react because they've already discounted it to be able to, because the market already is moving ahead of whatever the Fed's going to do. And the Fed's behind on this. The fact of the matter is the Fed's behind. Now they're a little bit stuck because it's like, well, if they go down a half a point, then it looks like, oh, we really are behind, and they're admitting that. Or they might be admitting that maybe there's an additional problem in the economy that they don't want to necessarily promote before the election. So my guess is they're just going to go 25 basis points and say, hey, it's a start. We're moving in this direction. We're going to take this thing down. And I think what I've heard is that they're looking to take it down probably a couple of points over the next 18 months. So wherever we are today, take that down 200 basis points. So
where does that put us rate-wise?
Well,
that spread is going to close. They're going to start pricing that in. Then you add the rate cut.
Spread will close a little bit, but man, if they take the interest rates down 200 basis points, say 150 to 200 basis points, I mean, are we talking about 5% interest rates again for mortgages?
And no inventory to speak of.
No inventory really at this point. Down here in South Carolina, they're trying to build like crazy. You don't really have that issue in Minnesota. Your land costs are very high. Your just all your costs are higher. You know, down here it's a little cheaper and easier to build. So they're trying to build like crazy, but they can't add enough. They can't add enough new housing inventory. You know, I mean, even if everybody, you know, because you and I chatted about this a little bit, I don't know what it is in your market. I think we're running about 20% is when you look at sales, that's what's new construction versus existing. So if you move the needle in the market, you've got to get the existing marketplace to unlock, and it's just not unlocking. I mean, even builders go nuts and increase. We go from 80-20 to 70-30. 30% is new construction. Not every home buyer wants to buy a brand new house.
And housing, new construction is more expensive than existing. So to unlock that market, you need to get people to move up into new construction to open up for first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
And this market's been locked for a long time.
It's been locked, and it's difficult. I mean, you need what? You know, I don't even remember. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Kids coming out of college today, they're not getting paid that much more money, but their housing costs have doubled. So that's going to be extremely difficult. The other thing too, you know, a couple of proposals, you know, I think you'd kind of kicked around one. I did as well. I think that they should consider eliminating capital gains. I know it's probably not a big market mover. It's not so much here, but certainly on the coast that could have an issue. There's a lot of people sitting on capital gains, and that might be a reason enough why they don't want to sell. But if you unlock capital gains, just say, hey, no more capital gains on your personal residence. And I said before, hey, if you still want to stick it to the really super rich, okay, put some kind of cap on that. You know, maybe it's, you know, we take it from a $250,000 cap right now, and $500,000 per couple is escapes capital gains. Maybe you take that up to $2 million. Maybe it's $1 million per, you know, husband and wife kind of thing, or maybe make it $2 million. I don't know. Come up with some kind of number. Then if you want to get super wealthy, fine. You know.
Okay, so they put in that capital gains exclusion at what year? Was that
1997? I looked up the median home price then was $143,000. I mean, these are the morons that are running the country, right? I mean, literally idiots. It's been 30 years. They haven't even messed with this. Real estate's like the biggest thing that's out there. The other question is like, where's NAR on this, by the way? I mean, NAR is the big housing advocate.
They were too busy just trying to defend themselves on
how is
ridiculous
this not
lawsuits.
like a huge priority? Unless they're going to say, well, no, now we're favoring the rich and not all the, you know, downtrodden and the poor people we're trying to get into houses. It's like, well, you just agreed to this really crazy, ridiculous lawsuit. That's not exactly going to be helping people, minority people and veterans and all that stuff. That's not going to help them. So, but just in principle, if we're trying to, let's unlock capital gains. Okay, great. I like your idea too. Hey, if everyone hates investors, right, and you want to bring some of that investor inventory back to market for the first-time home buyer, to your point, hey, no capital gains. You bought that house for $100,000. You've had it now for 4 or 5 years or whatever. You've rented it out. You've made it nicer. You want to put it back on the market now. It's worth $225,000. Boom, you sell it. First-time home buyer.
Sell it to an owner-occupied.
Owner-occupied.
And,
Yeah,
you can
just
even put in a
owner-occupied.
caveat and say, put it into developing land, more housing, build new housing, and then we'll give you that tax break.
Say that again. Your last part about putting. So
okay,
so
you could say we'll give you that tax-free, right? No capital gains tax, no recapture, right, on the depreciation. And then you'll have to, similar to a 1031, you roll that into new housing for sale housing. So you develop land and new housing stock, we'll give you that tax-free.
Well, so a couple things though. They can. Okay, so there's tax-free or tax deferred, right? Because on 1031, you can probably already do that.
Deferred is probably the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
Right. So I'm actually talking about forego it. Right.
Okay.
Forgo
that
it.
would work
Don't
too.
even make that additional requirement, because that additional requirement is just a 1031 exchange.
Yep.
And they can still do that, right? So you sell your investments, you sell however you want, actually, right, to another investor, take that, roll that to another deal, you defer the capital gains.
So this Black Boulder company is able to sell off their inventory and take that tax free and then put it in other investments.
Actually, you know what? That might not be a bad trade. At the end of the day, does it really matter if you know, Black Schmuck gets you know, a tax break or not, right? But the point is try to bring more housing back into the marketplace, right? So BlackRock, Blackstone, all these guys own all this stuff. And plus, there's lots of others. But maybe doesn't matter, right? So they bought it for 200. Now they sell it for 300 if they can. You see the stuff going on in Florida. They bought a lot of property. It's maybe not working out for them so well now because prices are coming down. But there might be other markets where they did make money on it and they sell it. They're just turning it back into owner-occupied inventory. But is
give
that
them
really
a tax incentive to sell it to owner-occupied?
Right. So maybe it's not a total tax-free thing, but there may be something they could do there. I mean, there's a lot at play that we don't even really know how that would play out if you started to give some additional incentives. Remember when they did what was it, back in the crash? Did they give, was it like a $10,000 new buyer incentive or something?
First-time home buyer tax credit.
Yeah, we saw that little spike, and
Yeah.
I remember I was involved in flipping property at the time. It was like, oh, this is fantastic. And then
I timed it perfectly.
It just went away. It was like air just came right out of the market. It's like, what was that?
And we went into a free fall right when they pulled it away.
What happened on that? But where is Congress on this all this stuff? I mean, seriously, where are they? They're absent. And they play a big role in this. It's structured around the way they've got the rules. And I think that there's some other things that you and I certainly aren't even thinking about, but there could be some other things that could be done, I suspect. You and I going back and forth on Twitter about, Congress stepping in and making rules or the White House making rules to eliminate some of the red tape, I guess, in doing development work. Might help, might not. My point to you was I don't think you can do that because it's all local rules, not federal rules. There are some federal rules that impact that. So
it'll be interesting. You got the housing locked with the low interest rate, so the boomers are kind of stuck in their housing.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of potential tax consequences if they sell.
Yeah.
So we're talking about expanding the capital gains exclusion.
Yeah.
So to your earlier point, it went up from 160 to now the median is 430 or something.
143 to like what, 425 or something?
Yeah, so it's basically 4 times, right? So if you just took 250 times 4, what are you at? You're basically $1 million.
Right.
So that exclusion for a single person should be indexed to inflation would be about $1 million exclusion.
Yeah.
Whatever, 800 to $1 million.
Yep.
And then double that for a married couple.
Yep.
And then that would free up a ton of housing.
Yep. It certainly could help a little bit, like California and things like that. And think about those transactions happen. All of a sudden now you get a new buyer. They're paying fresh property tax rates, right? So state's going to benefit from that. So I think those are a lot of good things that could happen, but it needs some updating. Holy cow! I mean, it's almost 30 years. That's just crazy.
I remember when that went in. I was so excited. I was a new agent. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing.
That's so much money.
Right.
I was selling houses for $60,000.
They definitely could do some of that. Speaking of housing, I saw, and I haven't seen it confirmed, and it wouldn't surprise me if Elon Musk was working on something to build a house, figure out a way how to build a house way more efficiently. Would be really interesting, right? Without tax subsidies and stuff like that. 3D printing or some kind of high scale manufacturing, prefab house that gets assembled somehow. I don't know. Who knows? But it's expensive to build. It just is.
Yeah, the prefab isn't there. The 3D printing, it's pretty cool, but it's not printing in your wiring. It's not printing in your plumbing. It's not putting in. So you still have all the rough ends after the framing, and the framing isn't that expensive.
Right.
And then you look at the shipping container. So you buy like a 40-foot shipping container. So I was looking at that and I'm like, oh, I just buy this. And okay, that's going to be $2,500, $3,000 delivered. Okay. Now I just got the frame with no insulation. I got to cut everything in. Yeah. And I'm already over the cost per foot of a finished house.
Right.
Per square foot.
Right. Right.
So it's like, that's not cost effective either.
Right. Right. No, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough.
So, mobile homes, the tiny house cost per square foot is, because once you put in a kitchen and a bathroom and, all the mechanicals, you need that, whether you're in a 200 square foot footprint or a 20,000 square foot footprint.
Super expensive. Yeah. Very expensive. It's not the solution.
Yeah.
It's not the solution. So, What else is going on? I'm actually going to have to realize I'm going to have to cut this shorter than I thought. So,
well, we talked about the housing shortage. Cody Sanchez, have you watched any of her stuff?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, she's kind of this pretty YouTube star.
SMB. Yep.
And talking about buying businesses and stacking businesses, right?
Yeah.
And you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, it just
Yep.
speaks to, I get
Yep.
excited. Oh, yeah, I could buy this business, and then I could buy this business and buy this business. And then I stand back and I scratch my head and go, do you know how difficult it is to run a business?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how that works out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's gotten really good at it, but for the average person to come in and do that might be a little bit difficult. The PE space, there's a lot of money floating around looking for deals, right?
Yeah.
And I think what you and I, we shared one on Twitter. Some guy just sold his roofing company or something. He can't believe how much he sold it for.
Yeah. And he's like, this buyer has never even been on a roof,
Right. They're just rolling stuff up.
Yeah. It's some of this is going to end poorly. I mean, I'm sure some of them have good business skills, but man, these trades, you got to be on the job. Most of the business, I've been looking, right? I still look at buying businesses, and they're all buying jobs. Yeah.
No, it's amazing. But I see it here just even as a homeowner, from the lawn care service, the HVAC, I don't know, mosquito treatment, all of it. All of it's being rolled up as we speak. Pest control, all of that. They're now just huge, giant PE companies, or bigger companies are just like, hey, they're just going and buying all these smaller operators, so they've got just a few bigger brands. And maybe that'll work.
That'll work.
I don't know. I mean, we're always kind of looking for the smaller guy. We get bummed out. We get word like that. Oh, they just got bought up by some big giant company now. Terminate.
But that workforce, how do they find these people to show up?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky.
There's no skilled trades left anymore.
Yeah, those kids that learn that stuff though will do well in the future. AI is not going to take away plumbing skills or electrician skills.
No,
not going to happen.
No.
Maybe we figure out a way to get rid of framers. Maybe it becomes automated as they're building buildings and houses. But electrical and plumbing, nah. You're going to need guys to know how to do that. I would think so.
Okay. Well, you've had a long weekend.
No, I appreciate it. We'll let's connect again. If we see something this week that makes sense for us to jump on, let's do it.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Hey, Craig.
Good rest of your Sunday.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Right, see you, John.